This is Luke Lawal. I'm the CEO and founder of HBCU Buzz, and you're watching Go With The Flow Entertainment.
What's going on? I'm Crystal Garner, winner of BET's The Grand Hustle, and you're watching Go With The Flow Entertainment. Hey.
Hi, I'm Dia Sims. I'm the president of Combs Enterprises, and you're tuned in to Go With The Flow Entertainment.
Hey guys, I'm Ronnie Brown, CEO of GirlCOInc.com, and I am here with Go With The Flow Entertainment.
Hi, it's Albion Brule, and you're tuned in to Go With The Flow Entertainment.
What's up, y'all? This your girl, Flo Essence, and we are here live at the second Build Your Own Brand Conference happening in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm so excited to be in the building with a bunch of creatives, entrepreneurs, and 9-to-5 workers who are all here determined to get something out of life and out of this conference. Please stay tuned. We have a lot coming in store for you. Just wait. It's Flo Essence TV. It's your girl, Flo Essence, and we are here at the second annual BYOB conference, and I had the awesome pleasure of speaking with Mr. Phillip, who is the editor-in-chief of the front page of the HuffPost.
Yes.
How is that feel?
It feels great.
Oh my gosh.
It really is an enjoyment to sort of be able to kind of push the stories that we want to talk about.
Yeah. So talk about your journey. How did you get to this place? Because I'm sure you didn't just wake up and all of a sudden now you're the editor of the front page.
No. So I actually used to teach. I taught 5th grade in Detroit. I taught 5th grade and 7th grade in Detroit. I was a middle school teacher. And that didn't really go so well for me.
Right.
Didn't go so well, because I just was not the best teacher, And so a friend of mine was like, "Hey, you have a pretty substantial following on social media. Like, you should do something with that."
Yeah.
And so I was kind of like, "Okay, well, what?" And so I applied for a bunch of different internships and fellowships in media or journalism world. Got rejected by every single one except for HuffPost. And so HuffPost, they ended up hiring me as a editorial fellow for their politics department. So I packed up everything in my car, drove to DC.
Wow.
Detroit, and honestly, like, the rest is just kind of history. It was a very steep learning curve, but the rest is history.
Yeah, I mean, we hear stories about that, people getting up, packing up, and leaving. And how did you get the courage to even do that? Leave your family, your friends, and everything that was comfortable for you to start your journey and push your career first?
Yeah, well, I didn't feel like I had anything to lose. Like, I was no longer teaching. I was substitute teaching for like $100 a day.
Wow.
I was like, all right, something's got to shake.
Yeah.
And so, you never really know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And so I just figured, like, okay, let me just see what's going to happen. Let me drive down here and see how it goes.
Yeah.
And it worked out.
That's awesome.
I think I would always regret it, like, if I didn't do it.
Wow. So I feel like HuffPost has shifted so much in the past years, and I feel like the Black representation is starting to increase a little bit. So when you first got into HuffPost, do you think that there were still as many Black people represented in the the brand, so to say, than there is now?
So the media landscape has been hit by a bunch of layoffs, you know, and so we're not immune to that, and so we've lost a lot of our Black writers, which is unfortunate. But we're trying to make sure that we get the representation that we need as far as like our storytelling.
Yeah.
So I try to, whenever I'm able to write, I try to write stories that are interesting and that are pertaining to the Black community. Like, I wrote a story like 2 weeks ago about the only Black-owned movie theater in Maryland.
Oh, wow.
Next Act Cinema. It's the only Black-owned movie theater in Maryland, and I want to say on the East Coast. I want to say that, but I'm not sure. But those are the type of stories I'm looking for. The stories that I can, that people just aren't writing about.
Love it. Now, last but not least, what is your why, Phillip?
My why? Pretty much what I just said. Like, making sure that we are telling stories about our community. That's kind of like my why. Like, that's what I love to do. Writing stories about the Black community, because I just know that having sort of that perch at HuffPost,
Yeah.
I have a responsibility to do that.
Exactly.
And so that's my why. That's what keeps me going.
I love it. Now, before I let you go, please tell everyone how to find you and follow you on social media.
Okay. I'm Phil Lewis on Twitter. That's Phil, PHIL_Lewis, LEWIS _, and then just Phil.Lewis on Instagram.
And I'm standing here with Miss Jackie Robinson Burnett. I'm so excited about this conversation because she is Miss Small Business Everything. Please tell the world what you do because it is a lot and it's so needed.
Thank you.
You're very
well.
welcome.
I'm a government contracting expert with Live Oak Bank, and I started with Live Oak Bank about 18 months ago. And before that, I was at the U.S. Small Business Administration, where I ran the $99 billion small business program for the entire federal government.
Wow. How was that, sitting in that chair, being in control, or just being able to witness that much money going into small businesses? How was that experience?
It was awesome. I'm a military spouse, so I traveled all around the country with my husband.
Lucky.
And I was a contracting officer with an unlimited warrant, which means I could sign a contract for billions of dollars.
Wow.
There was no limitation.
Wow.
And so often I watched businesses win these contracts, and minority businesses were winning just 5% of the contracts. And one of my goals early in my career was to get to that top 1% of the government where I could control and manage those programs and expand opportunities for minority companies, for women, for veterans, and for firms that are socially and economically disadvantaged.
Wow.
And so it was quite powerful to be able to support creating wealth for families and entrepreneurs of all types, because it takes all of us to run this country and to build economic wealth for this country.
Yes. Why do you think it's so important for us to focus on these areas, and why do you think there hasn't been as much attention in these areas as well?
Well, that is a very tough question. I think access to information has been a struggle for minority companies.
Absolutely.
And once I teach you, you can teach someone else.
Absolutely.
And then that spreads on. But initially, when you have 95% of the contracts going to a certain segment of our society, then you have that small 5% trying to pass the information. And sometimes we can get into a rut of thinking, if I share the information, that's going to be less for me. And so instead of me sharing the information and building up the industrial base of minority firms where there's more opportunities, because the government has to decide, should I set this contract aside for a woman or minority? And if there aren't enough firms out in the industrial base to compete for it, then they may think they're not capable. So I'll just spread it out for everyone, and then we typically don't have access to capital. We don't have access to a network to be able to win the contracts competing against others. Now, once we win, we can do the work.
Exactly.
And we far exceed, because we're trying to show that we're grateful for the opportunity and we put our heart into it in a completely different way.
Why do you think we're also very, I want to say, underrepresented as well?
Well, sometimes it's the culture of the organization, and then sometimes it's the political climate. And right now we have a very tough political climate, but as a government contracting expert for 34 years, I also know there's certain things I can't say, even if I want to.
Don't want to get you in trouble.
Right. And so I think that access to information, having senior executives that look like the minorities, the women's, the veterans that want the contracts in positions to make the decisions has been part of the reason why there's been a tough way for the firms to go to get those contracts. But I do see a lot of diversity now coming into the higher ranks. I think it's going to get better. I see the government kind of expanding and being more inclusive, and I think the opportunities, the doors are just going to open.
Absolutely. Last but not least, what is your why? Why do you do what you do? Why are you so passionate about it? I mean, I feel like I would know the answer, but I want to hear your answer.
Well, I think for me, I was telling someone the other day, and because sometimes you don't even realize the struggle that you've gone through to get where you are. But I was telling someone who was sharing with me that she helps run Head Start programs. And I thought, I was in Head Start. And she said, wow, you are a Head Start success story. And I never realized it. But I think the passion comes from me is because I've been in a place of lack. I've been in a place where I needed access to information. I've been the smart kid in high school, getting good grades and No one gave me the information to tell me I could get a scholarship, I could go somewhere else and do something different.
Yeah.
And so that's part of what fuels me, is I believe if I can share it with you and then you can share it with someone else, that expands my influence. And I'm making a big impact, not just for me and my family, but across the globe.
I love it. We should look at everything that way, honestly. Pay it forward. I love it. Darian Perry, also known as Freshie. How you feeling?
I'm good. I feel so good this morning. I'm excited to be here with everybody. It's BYOB. It's legendary. It's the retreat of all retreats.
Yes. Were you here last year?
I was not here last year, and I was sitting at home like, damn,
Listen.
how can I get on panel? How can I be a part of something so amazing? So it feels good to be here this year.
Absolutely. So you are a publicist, and talk about the importance of having a publicist in general.
Yes, so I'm a publicist. I've been a publicist for a little about 3 years at this point, and what people don't know is once you get to a certain point in your career, whether it be entertainment, whether it be business, whether it be philanthropy, you need a publicist because you need to expand your reach to the media.
Absolutely.
And that's exactly what I'm here for.
Absolutely. Like, I wholeheartedly agree with you, because I recently got a publicist as well, and I'm like, I see why I need this. I see the importance. How do you bring that vision to life?
It's knowing who your client is, and so I always say this. And I lead with this when it comes to PR. PR is a luxury for one. So if you have to be in a place where you're ready for PR. You have to, one, as a brand, know who you are and what your brand stands for. And if you know who you are and what your brand stands for, then you can tell me as your publicist, these are my goals and this is where I'm trying to reach. And so for me as a publicist, my goal is to take you and your brand and your idea and translate that to the public, i.e. I'm your voice to the world. I am the strategic person behind you, making sure that your story is being told and your story is being told by you, and you're narrating your own story. And so the process for me is very simple. It's dissecting, is this person ready for a publicist? If this person is ready for a publicist, how can I be beneficial to this person? Do me and this person, do our brands align? Do the rest of my clients on my roster align with this brand? And is there a story and a continued story that needs to be told? Because it's one thing to have a story and a story with an ending, but do you have a continuous narrative? And if you can answer those questions, I have a continuous narrative, then you need a publicist, and then that's where I step in.
Love it. Thank you so much for helping me with that. Also, you just pretty much answered my next question, which is, do you just pick anybody? Because you have to make sure they align with your brand, like you say. So talk about the importance of just trying to add anybody just because they're willing to pay for your services.
No, and you do. And I do not just pick anybody, and I think that's one of the key things to being a great PR. If you pay attention to the world and pay attention to society, and just pay attention to life's rules in general. Not everyone is going to get along with everybody. Not everyone is going to be able to do what each other needs them to do for each other. And so you as a publicist, you as a brand have to dissect, are we going to congruently grow together? Are we going to grow parallel with each other? And are we going to grow to make magic?
Love it. So as a Black publicist, do you face any roadblocks throughout your career?
As a Black publicist, I don't face any roadblocks because I don't go into any situation just thinking that I'm a Black publicist. I go into every situation, I am a man. I am knowing I am a Black man, I am a man, but I know that who I am as a person is going to outshine anything in any of my competition, so I never really just look at my skin color. And I'm sure, honestly, that it is there.
Yeah, of course. Last but not least, what is your why that keeps you going?
My why that keeps me going is moments like this, being able to inspire the world and change the world for the better. And I just want to be that person who can leave my mark on culture so people who come behind me can live and not make the mistakes that I make.
And I'm standing here with Miss Alvion Brule. How are you feeling?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm well. Now tell everyone who you are and what you do.
So I'm Alvion Brule, as you said. I am a sports agent, author, and advocate.
Wow, that's awesome. So what do you advocate?
So mostly for student athletes and parents of student athletes.
Now that's really important. So what in that sector exactly?
So I wrote 2 books, right? So one is called Dear Football Moms, where I educate the student athlete parent about the recruiting process as well as eligibility, which is very important. So I always tell people, if you're not really familiar with this industry, about 70% of student athletes come from a single parent household. And so it's very important to educate them and advocate for them, because when you kind of have this saying where what you don't know won't hurt you, but that's a lie.
Because it will.
It will, and so just trying to get them to understand, what they're going to go through if you look at the sports sector and how these guys go broke, it's just so much and so many levels to that. And so the biggest thing is, how do we break, the generation of poverty? How do we educate them about the options that they have, even as they, again, navigate through this business that can be very gruesome at times, right?
Yes. I actually needed you because I was a student athlete before, and I made a lot of mistakes. Okay. And I'm just sitting here thinking, as you're speaking, like, wow, I wish I had that education to bridge that gap with me, because my parents didn't know much either. So I'm happy that you are in this space. Now let's talk a little bit about your authoring. Okay. So how did you go from being just an author to a published author?
So in my case, I decided to self-publish. Okay. So before kind of moving into the sports world, I was in entertainment. So I'm actually a former radio on-air personality.
Wow.
Right? Yeah. And so a part of that too, I used to manage artists. So I always try to get people that may be a little bit familiar with that space to understand it's the same thing like an artist going independent versus signing with a major label, right? Yeah. So for me, it was about how much royalty and ownership I want to have. Right. So for me, I wanted to keep creative control, right? Yeah. So self-publishing was the best option for me, just because, again, you get to choose how your, image look, you get to put what you want on there, your title, you have all of the creative control. So that's kind of the reason why I went that route.
We have a lot of similarities. So I started in radio as well.
Shut up!
I'm just sitting here, I'm like, wow, did we meet before? But I started in radio, and then I built my brand from there. So that is really awesome. Now let's switch gears and talk about NFL. Okay. So you're an agent. Yes. How did you, because you got an author. Yeah. How did you get into that?
So I always tell people I kind of stumbled into it, right? So I started a nonprofit about 11 years ago. Wow. Reached out to a guy who was handling, different athletes. So as a result, we kind of started working together. And then he was like, you know what, I'm so impressed with your work ethic. Let's continue to do this. Yeah. So I started doing like philanthropic activities for NFL players. Yeah. And then moved into management and then marketing. And then after a while, I had one client that was like, listen, I don't trust anybody else. You're going to have to become an agent. And I'm like, me, a female agent? Are you crazy? Have you lost your mind? Right. But he planted the seed, right? And so 2 years later, I was like, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and do this. And so I moved forward with the process, because it is a little complicated, to make that transition. I don't want anyone to get discouraged, but it's not easy. Yeah. And so, here we are. 2 years later, right. As an agent. So it's amazing, though.
I mean, it sounds amazing, a great accomplishment. If someone was listening to you right now, how do you think, not even how do you think, how would you tell them to really navigate through this industry, especially being a woman as an NFL agent? I'm sure that you get a lot. You're dealing with men, and they might try you,
Oh, no question.
Exactly. So how do you navigate through that field while being a woman and still holding your ground and keeping it professional?
So I had a guy that was in the basketball industry for a very long time, and he gave me some advice early on. He said, men are like women in a sense. They have locker room talk, right? They all talk. So if you do something with one guy, they're going to talk, and it spreads throughout the industry.
Man got bigger mouth than
exactly, right? So his thing to me was, you just have to chew one head off. So the first guy that tried to holler at me, I ripped him to shreds. And literally, I have never really had a problem since.
Word got around.
It got around. She don't play. Right. She about her business. Right. Don't go there. Right. And so it was the best advice that he possibly gave me. So, and another thing is, I tell people sometimes I can come off like I'm not friendly, but it's on purpose. Yeah. I can't be a friendly Bob. I can't come in all diddy and hi. It's just I just can't. Because sometimes it can be misleading. Yeah, so because of it, I'm just very teller-focused, and if I'm in rooms, like most people call me like a little baby pit bull. That's my nickname, right? And so I had to embrace that, because if not, you create a great area in a space that you just don't want to as a woman,
Exactly.
So I always tell people, don't be afraid to, be the aggressor if you need to be, or keep your foot solid to the floor if that's what you have to do. But again, they all talk, so you just have to keep that line, and it has to be clear.
Yeah. That was amazing advice. I'm sure that a lot of women deal with that. Even I've, deal with that being in the industry. So thank you so much.
No problem.
Last but not least, what is your why? What keeps you moving? What keeps you fueled to get up every day and do what you do?
So, for me, it's really about the educational piece. So I grew up in a single parent household. And, the biggest thing that my mom placed in me was that you're going to be better than me, right? And so when you start getting into this sector and you see so many moms and young men that come from the same space as you, it becomes a thing like, I'm going to, basically carry on my back if I have to, but we have to get this right. So for me, it's just about looking in the eyes of the moms and the young men and women that I'm able to impact. And it's just like, this is, why. Because otherwise you end up meeting people that end up taking the wrong turns because they just don't know any better, right? And so that's what it is for me.
Love it. Well, thank you so much. Please tell everyone how to find you, follow you.
Awesome. So you can go to my website, alvionbrule.com. All of my social media handles are the same. It's my first and last name. So it's ALV as in Victor, IANNEBRULE.
Love it. Well, you already know. This is your girl, Flo Essence, and we are signing out. Bye. What's up, y'all? This is your girl, Flo Essence, and I'm here with Naroja, who is literally amazing. Please tell the world what you do.
Oh my God, thank you so much. Well, I'm a ghostwriter. I'm a senior ghostwriter for a agency called The Writer's Block, and we're like the secret ninjas that bring content to life. And so our mission is, we give people the ability to speak. So if you have a platform, you have a responsibility to speak. It's no longer okay to be silent, and that's where we come in.
Love it. So I've heard of The Writer's Block, and I've heard of ghostwriting. And what's interesting, I've heard of the writer's block in a positive way, and the act of ghostwriting is always around a negative connotation. So speak about that. Why do you think ghostwriting has such this negative connotation?
Yeah, I guess people feel like, somebody who didn't do the work is getting credit for our work that's done. But how we see it is like it's still our client's story. We're still interviewing them. We're still, getting the best of what they have. And we're just shaping it in a way that is like perfect for their audience. It's perfect for their reader. So, I think it's a positive thing. I think we need more stories. We need to hear about more successes, more failures, more advice, more insights. And so if our agency can be a conduit to doing that, then yeah, I'm all for it.
Yeah. So I think it's kind of interesting because ghostwriting is like a secret, right? And so you want to, for example, you have a client and you want to tell the client what you can do for them, but you can't really tell them who you did it for because it's supposed to be a secret. So how do you really pitch the business or even just someone being a part or being one of your clients?
Absolutely. That's a good point. So sometimes we have co-signing. So some of our clients co-sign for us with other people that they've referred us to. So it is a referral-based business. So every project, no matter how big or small, it gets 110% of our attention because we want to deliver just the absolute amazing product. As well, everyone on our team, we also write under our own names as well. So, building our own personal brands also helps create some visibility and, it helps us bridge a relationship with clients to begin with.
Yeah. So what did you go to school for?
Good question. So I did do a degree in English literature and sociology. I went to the University of Toronto. Shout out to Toronto. Hey. Raptors in 6. But I didn't think I was going to be a writer. It was just like, I'll do this thing. And then my career took me a completely different route. I ended up doing a master's degree in adult education, which is great because it really strengthened my research skills. And research skills are so critical when you're doing ghostwriting. And so, so I've just kind of married the two together, and I think I've always had like a natural ability and inclination and interest towards writing. And so I think I finally, at the age of 31, I think I finally figured things out. So
congrats, that's awesome.
I'm excited, yeah.
Now, you talked literally about what many entrepreneurs go through where they have a skill that they're good at, but they have something that they love and they don't know how to merge the two. And we have a lot in common because I went to school for sociology as well. Cool. So talk about how knowing people, learning people, how that has helped your career really move to the next level.
Oh my God, that's been everything for me. So the owner of our agency, Pollyanna Reed, who's one of the organizers for BYOB.
Shout out Pollyanna.
Shout out to Pollyanna. I met her on Twitter like 10 years ago.
Wow.
I know.
She just talked about how important Twitter is.
Yes.
Wow.
It's so important. And she's an ace at it. But we met on Twitter like 10 years ago. And I was like, oh my God, I really love what she's up to. I want to connect with her again. But as you guys know, like busy people, they're not just going to hang out with you all the time. So I had to find like a natural way of like really like being in her space. And she had just started the agency at that time. So I thought, wow, I have the skill that I can, put to good use. I can bring value. So let me bring value in this way. And so that's how I started doing ghostwriting. It wasn't like, I didn't think there was a career in it for me. I didn't think I can leave my full-time job by doing it. But I mean, fast forward 3 years later, here I am, right?
crazy.
Yeah.
So you're saying you reached out to her 10 years ago when she first started the brand?
It was actually, she started a writers meetup group that was called Writer's Block at that time.
Okay.
And then it was only like 3 years ago that she made it into like a full-fledged agency and a business.
And you got on 3 years ago.
I got on 10 years ago, and then again 3 years. 3 years ago.
So you really been from literally the beginning.
Yeah.
Now talk about that. Like, if you could give one thing that was really key to building that business and making it successful, what do you think was really the driving force behind that for you guys?
Yeah, I think it's just like it's giving 110% and being consistent at delivering like the best results, like no matter what. Like, we have clients who are A-listers, we have clients who are just like emerging entrepreneurs. Like, we have the whole spectrum, but everybody gets the same customer service, everybody gets the same attention, everybody gets the same quality. So just being consistent with your delivery has been everything for us.
Awesome.
Yes.
Last but not least, what is your why? So what's the thing that fuels you, keeps you going, even those nights where things may get hard? What's that one thing that you're like, I gotta still get up and do what I have to do today?
Yeah, I think I've got so many whys. One is like I constantly want to learn. I want to see. There's so much to learn in this world. Like, it's like, that alone keeps me up at night.
It's a little overwhelming sometimes, though.
And it's also so exciting sometimes, right?
I love learning as well, though, so I can actually agree with you.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's one why. Another why for me is like I just want to live out my potential, whatever that is. Like, I've seen my parents work so hard for me and my siblings. I'm the youngest of 6, and so so it's a big family. And so I want to at the end, I want to say that I've done it all that God had given me.
Absolutely. I love this. Well, tell everyone how they can find you and follow you.
Yes, I am on LinkedIn, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Instagram, but I've got a unique name, so just search my name, Niroja, last name Arul. It's the shortened version of my name. So just look for that and you can find me.
I was like, before I crash and go eat,
I know. Let me
I got an interview with you because I heard you're amazing.
Thank you so much.
And then, by the way, like you and I've never seen a camera woman who looks so dapper, because normally they're like sweats and sneakers and stuff, but your camera.
When it comes to this, it's a
fashion show.
We gotta come because I believe that the way you dress is the way someone's going to address you. And if I come in here looking like sweats, even though I'm the camera girl, you're gonna be like, oh, she's just the camera girl.
100%.
Now she stops and you get her attention and you talk to her and you ask her about what she does or what her involvement is just because of what she has on.
And you understand the professionalism behind who she is.
Exactly.
So I worked in the corporate world. You can say what you want, but people be like, oh, it shouldn't matter what I'm wearing. But it does.
It does, 100%.
Because especially if you're handling like $1 million accounts,
100%.
They want to see that somebody who, looks of a particular genre is going to be taking care of that. So,
I'm in the corporate world myself right now. I'm a property manager as well.
Oh,
and
awesome.
I don't play about how I look because there's a lot of different reasons. I have locks in my hair. I am brown skin. And so you already have your perception.
Exactly.
So I have to change that every single day and literally do it intentionally.
Exactly. And then like for me, being natural hair woman in the corporate world.
Exactly.
I remembered having someone tell me that I went to an event and I decided to straighten my hair. And someone, when I came back, was like, oh, your hair straight looks so much more professional. And, those are the jabs that sometimes other demographics, that's what they feel like.
Yeah.
So, and I remember thinking like, oh, no, not so really. My curly hair looks professional too.
Exactly.
And it's as dressy and professional as I want it to be.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
So, and I feel like it's great to know that in the corporate world, they just passed a law saying that even if you have like an afro or locks or whatever you want in your hair,
they can't discriminate.
They can't discriminate against you. And now it's officially a law against it, federally approved law, which is amazing.
Isn't it? But isn't it also make you think like, why do we even have to go that far to making it a law? Why is our appearance that much of a thing that you guys will take away our brain, take away our voice because of how we look?
Individualism is not really preached in society. So that's the simplest answer, I think. So I don't really think about it because when I look at the school systems, even what I tackle, which is financial literacy, it's individualism, teaching kids how to become entrepreneurs and not worker bees. The first way of stopping a person from becoming an entrepreneur, becoming that individual, is by making them wear uniforms. I want you all to fall in line. It's easier to control you if I could tell you what to wear, and how to look, and how to think.
Exactly.
So that's kind of where it starts.
So what do you think about schools in the system? The school system, I'm not sure where you're from actually.
So I'm from Manchester, England, but I live in New York City now.
Awesome.
Actually, I was here at BYOB speaking on the How to Think Like a Millionaire panel.
Awesome.
And you know, the biggest thing for me is we have a finance curriculum that's gone into this year 215 schools nationwide.
Congrats. That's
thank
awesome.
you, thank
Oh my
you.
gosh, 215 schools?
Yes,
worldwide?
yes.
That's
Nationwide.
Nationwide.
Yes.
That's a huge deal.
Thank you.
Oh my
thank
gosh.
you.
Talk about, how did you even get to this level? How did you even pitch it to the point where they accept it and now it's everywhere?
I didn't fear rejection. It's the simplest answer, but working in the corporate world, especially as a woman of color, one of the things that I learned was not fearing rejection, because when you're pitching multi-million-dollar portfolios to clients and we're trying to tell them, give me your money, you're gonna get rejection.
Yeah.
And they teach you how to prepare for that. And I feel like the other side, they teach you basically when you do get rejected to ignore it and understand that it doesn't have anything to impact your value and your worth. So that's one. And then two was really, I've also worked, I am an investor in real estate. And when you invest in real estate, if you like to find your own properties like I do, like pre-foreclosures, a lot of times when you're finding pre-foreclosures, you're calling hundreds of people's houses and they're gonna tell you, no, no, no. Don't call my effing phone. They're gonna be expletives. They're gonna be nasty.
Yeah.
So I never feared rejection. And so getting my curriculum into so many schools, in our first year we did 137 schools. This is our second year, we're doing 215.
Wow.
And it's because I called 1,000 schools and I wasn't afraid to hear the word no.
Wow.
And it's one principal or a budget person told me no, then I was like, let me find a yes in that school or find a way around this or show you my value. So once the 4 schools around you said yes, I would send you another email, follow up and say, hey, 4 schools around you said yes. Do you want your kids to be behind theirs? So and I play little games because I'm like, worst case scenario, you're gonna just tell me don't email me ever again.
Right, that's it.
Right? So what's the worst you could do? Like, it's not like you're gonna kill me because I called your house or something, or went to an interview and you told me no in person. And I've gone to interviews in this rain and snow with my son on my hip who's 4, and back then he was like 2, and I've gotten no's with him on my hip, right? And I've had schools that I had to not interview because they were like, you can't bring a child to the interview. But sometimes, I'm a hands-on mother, so I was like, oh, I'm in a position that I can say, you know what, this interview is not meant for me. Maybe not this school, not this year.
Yeah.
So that's how I did that.
There's a certain light that you bring, and this is a light of fearlessness.
Yes.
So talk about your process on becoming that, because this is something that affects everyone. Everyone's afraid to do anything to move forward, and this is what stops a lot of businesses, a lot of brands. So talk about being fearless.
It's not that I'm fearless, to be honest. I have fear, but my fears are different. Like, money is not my God. And I don't want to allow myself to be in a position that rather it's my child or myself, we're never at the mercy of another.
Yeah.
So the fear of being at the mercy of another pushes me to make sure that I am doing my best part and I'm living my best life, right? So making sure I'm allowing myself to be in a position where I can walk with God and I can do good things and I can help others and I can give back without someone telling me how much I can give back, without someone telling me you can't go there or you can't raise your child and be hands-on. So those fears allow me to keep pushing. It makes me be up at 2 a.m. working on things. And, my publicist will tell you, I'll respond sometimes at 1:45 a.m. to an email. And, by 5 a.m. I'm back again, up and out the door to go teach, right? And it's just dedication and love. So fear is, to me, not necessarily a bad thing. I do have fear, but my fear pushes me.
What's your why?
It was my son.
Yeah.
My son was one. And the second thing was really, I just wanted to see my people win.
Yeah.
I was tired of seeing my people struggle or just not get the contract because they didn't know the language. I worked in a corporate world that I was far and few in between. And I would walk into a room, even when there were women, there wouldn't be women of color. And if there was a woman of color, she was afraid to even make eye contact with me because she didn't want them. She didn't know what kind of a black woman I was going to be. And, there's this perception that sometimes black is ghetto.
Right, okay.
And she's like, oh, I can't really look at her because if she ends up being a disgrace, I'm like, and I was...
That's real.
It's real. And it's our reality in the corporate world. And I just wanted to take a dent in that narrative.
Yeah.
I'm just tired of our people not even being able to look at each other in the eye.
So I've learned a couple things out of this conversation, and one is to continue to beat all the odds. And the second one is there's no excuses.
Facts.
You are making so much happen. You are a go-getter. I feel your spirit. I feel your drive. And I'm a vibe person, which is honestly, even the questions I've asked you, some of them I wait till the end, but your vibe has allowed us to have this conversation very organically. And just the way we started. So you're incredible. Now, within this, you have this incredible book that you're holding. Please, let's talk about this.
So when I left the corporate world, the first thing I did, I wanted to write this book. So I wrote a book called Wants versus Needs, which was a financial literacy book for youth. So this was the base of my curriculum. And then within 2 months of writing the book, I wrote my first finance curriculum, and then I test piloted it. And that basically, so up to date, we've had 10,000 books in the school systems and sold. And so that's really exciting.
This is huge.
And
this is huge. Like, I'm sorry, like it's almost overwhelming me because this is what we all preach about. We don't talk about finances in the schools. No. So we all go through school from pre-K to college or whatever, or high school, and we don't talk about school. You're changing the game. You're changing the narrative right now. This is amazing. And let me ask you something. Your book is in which schools, or is it a certain demographic?
200.
Or is it just...
So I don't discriminate.
Okay.
And just to clarify, like, so when I say we went into 215 schools, 40 of those schools we did for free.
Wow.
And I was saying earlier, and I'll say it a million times, oftentimes I find people who are the gatekeepers, who have the knowledge or who have the financial meaning to really and backing to help uplift our kids, they won't do it for free.
They won't.
They won't go to an inner city area, or they'll be afraid of the area. Those are my people. I've been to Compton, California. I've been to Irvington, New Jersey. I mean, you name it. If there's a city, if those are my people, I'm willing to go there.
Yeah.
Right? Just give me the opportunity.
Yeah.
And I've given back. And every time I go, if I get a big contract, like let's say Malibu, California, then my next goal is to find an urban area nearby that I can donate some time to. Whether it's financial knowledge or a book or two or just something. Because I feel like if we're taking, but we're not giving back to our community, then we're in trouble.
You're saying literally, you are preaching this. I literally just had a conversation about why it's so important to give. Oftentimes we want to take first, we never want to give, and that's why I know you're going to be successful.
Thank you.
40 schools for free, that's amazing. Okay.
Thank you.
Now tell everyone how they can find you and follow all the incredible things that you're doing.
kidswhobank.com or .org, whichever you prefer, or social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Kids Who Bank. Everything is Kids Who Bank, KIDSWHOBANK Bank. And it's really about uplifting our people. And we don't just do youth, but we do adults too, because we understand that if you're an adult, we want you to get closer to the 0% in taxes paid versus that 33%. So, it's time to get our money back.
Yes, I love this. And what's next? What's next? I know you have a huge goal.
I have 2 trademarks pending right now.
Okay.
And one of them is Corporate People Time, which is CPT. Because CPT, everyone says colored people time.
Right.
But in actuality, having worked in the corporate world, white people show up late too. Asian people show up late too. Everyone shows up sometimes late.
Right.
Every demographic has that, right? But only black people seem to have this CPT.
Right.
So I want to change the narrative on that and call it Corporate People Time. So I'll be there on Corporate People Time. It's going to be my thing. And then Money Is Not My God is my other trademark pending. So, you'll be seeing me with those t-shirts. And now I'm going to be really tackling the e-commerce world with Money Is Not My God and CPT, Corporate People Time, instead of Colored People Time, because us as black people, we show up on time too. Let's get that clarified. Yes.
Love this. This is a game changer. I will get my shirt, and I'll have my shirt on representing.
Thank you.
This was an incredible interview.
And I'm gonna take your information because I'm gonna send you a shirt.
Yes.
And and we're gonna cyber stalk each other on social media.
Thank you so much. I'll get a free shirt.